I don't think a lot of people understand what this chapter could mean. Because there's a really interesting fact about this whole twist with this guy Shinra, and after he takes Oasis, the reason he takes that form and what that form could mean. So the chapter obviously starts out with Natsu and Shiki now being up against Julia and Let. We have the Ether Gear user and Dragon Slayer against two members of the Dragon Race. And if you haven't read Rave Master, the Dragon Race, essentially they would eventually either become more humanoid like this, or they would become kind of like dragon people, to the point where they just straight become dragons. And that was more of like the mindless version. The dragonoid kind of human dragon was, it was essentially like kind of like this really poor state for them, whereas this version where they look like humans but they have dragon powers is really what they were shooting for. That's like being of actual value pretty much to them. And they have dragon techniques, but it's more spread out. So they pretty much have one dragon technique per class. Like they've got, they have a dragon fire breath. They got like an earth dragon stomp. But each one is like, oh yeah, you have one move that kind of dictates into what it does, and it will have a different attribute per dragon. Now, Natsu obviously is a dragon slayer, and that meaning that he is set in one attribute. So this is going to be weird for them. And what's funny is I mentioned that I didn't think that Julia and Let were really going to have much of a chance, because in this, I think it's easy to assume that Natsu, Shiki, and Haru are all going to be, equal to each other in terms of power. And Haru is definitely stronger than both Let and Julia, so they're pretty much both fighting somebody up easily superior to them. Now, this was a good sign, because here comes Let trying to kick Natsu, missing. Natsu just dodging back and then jumping back and knocking his, a straight knee kick right into Let, who's just sent soaring back, and he's like completely astonished by Natsu's strength. This is a pretty casual attack from Natsu too. And even when he uses his Fire Dragon Roar, and here comes Let using his Fire Dragon's Flare. This is like a weaker roar, because like Natsu, like that kind of like puffy mouthed version of his, where it looks like he's blowing up some candles. That's like the lowest version of his roar. When he has like full open mouth and it comes up more like a beam instead of like a big like kind of like wave of fire or like a cloud of flame, that's when he's getting much more serious. This is not a serious Natsu. Now, we know that Let has more up his sleeve, but the amount he has up his sleeve is not enough to take down Natsu. And meanwhile, while Shiki is like impressed by Natsu's capability, you have Julia going up to try and suplex. She accomplished suplexing Shiki and then tries to get him in like a leg lock. And here he is. That's like holds don't really matter to him, because here he is just manipulating gravity and then throwing her over. Like she's not going to do well against him, and Let is not going to do well against Natsu. These are again two characters I think that not only are just stronger than them, but bad matchups, because you have Natsu, who all around is superior to Let in pretty much every way, and Shiki just I think Shiki like very much overpowered. Like he's so much better in his area than Julia, because Julia, she seemed much more of like a wild technique kind of fighter, whereas Let was more of a martial artist. And Shiki's odd style of being very agile, being a very movement based fighter, is kind of hard for her to deal with. And then we get back to Haru. I did like the whole like notice when Let thought he was a member of the dragon race, and here is Natsu thinking that Let is a dragon slayer. It's gonna be awkward when they find out each other's things. Like, hey, I'm like kind of like this dragon species, and your power is called Dragon Slayer. So what's up with that guy? I mean, in reality, he'd probably take some offense to it, I imagine. Like, this dude's power is specifically to kill his own race. But then we get back to Haru, who's talking to the Great Creator, who, funny enough, because I mentioned when we first saw him in chapter 1, he looks like Hiro Mishima, like in his earlier days, like design-wise. He's got the, he's got the bandana on, he's got the same earring, but he's, this older man who he's always talking about imagination and whatnot, and the pretty much the great power that imagination holds. And then he even like got his name revealed in this one. It's Mishima, which I thought was pretty entertaining. And when he's like, he jumps down trying to talk to Haru, and he says like, essentially, he understands now that the exchange for power from this Darkbring is that, it slowly corrupts you. And, the dude jumps down and he explains that, he had the landing he did, this spectacular landing, pretty much did a superhero landing. That was the final thing that he wanted from that imagination, because now he's going to give it up. And he says, he used it to enrich the lives of the people on the island, but he doesn't want it to end up corrupting him and destroying the place. So he's like, that's, in the end, it may be nice, but it's not worth the risks it comes with now that he understands it. And he seems like one of those guys, he can tell when someone's like, he's like, I can tell, when you're telling the truth, like, and I kind of understand this. And it's impressive that he's been able to do all this while not being corrupted. And you can tell Haru's pretty happy about it. He's like, yeah, this guy gets it. This is a no fuss kind of situation, and I appreciate the fact that you're able to work with me. I liked that we got like the whole note of like, yeah, this has been in the on the generations on this island. They don't know what'll happen when it leaves, but they also don't know what will happen if they keep it. And I think he's a bit too trusting. I think he's a bit too nice, but that fits Mishima's personality. He's from the stories that I've read, he was a super nice guy. I mean, he is a super nice guy. He's still alive. So this guy being a little bit too trusting, a little bit too nice, it seems likely. As Shinra, what's funny is Shinra, like this guy, this disciple, of their religion, he is designed off of one of Hiro Mishima's assistants, and he has this dude betray him and stab him and steal Oasis, and then go and attack Haru, push him back, and he says pretty much he's now going to be the great creator, and this is now going to be it's going to be where he essentially likes it. Because it wasn't the old man who was tainted by the Darkbring. He was the one tainted by it. He was the one taking in all that darkness and becoming bad from it. Like, I'm so curious to know what it was like doing all this. Like, if the guy is still his assistant, I want to know, like, is he making a joke, or was he betrayed? And he's like trying to be like, haha, you shouldn't have done that. Now I'm going to make a bad guy out of you, which he probably wouldn't care about. I imagine that he's just having fun with it. I doubt he'd be petty like that, but I don't know. Here he is, he's happy, he's getting all the riches he wants, and he's able to do all the things that he now wants with this power of essentially creation. And now they're having to pull out. I liked when the jail collapsed to more like refer to Ichiya as the good voiced person. At least Ichiya's got that, my man. I like Ichiya, even if he's a weirdo. He's a nice weirdo. And then just some nice interactions when Pino is like checking out Starfish, and Carla Carla and Pino are seemingly getting along. They're just looking. I like how she just always like new life form discovered. She's just being a little cute robot, and Wendy's just following her around, going on a nice little walk, and Urza doing her due service, preventing the looting of a loli as a big spooky slimy tentacle comes and grabs Wendy by the leg. Urza goes and pretty much just slices it up, and like I said, you loot the loli. They're made to look cute. You can't loot them. But that's not the case for Rebecca and Lucy, who get the classic tentacle slime looting. And it's funny because it wasn't like a coincidence. It's actually Shinra who's just like, I wanted to see this at least once in my life, and I did. I'm happy now. But the thing that made me really curious is not that he took this form. It was when he says, like, essentially he says he wants to become him. He wants to imagine his appearance and his power. And now he's calling himself Genesis, and he's saying he's going to remake the world. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about how this was very interesting because I know a lot of people are going to look at him. He does have that appearance of like Jalal, Mistogun, Justice with his eye mark, and obviously Sieg Heart. And I know a lot of people tie it back to Sieg because of Ravemaster. But if you weren't aware, before Ravemaster, Hiromishima's first one-shot, the main character had that eye tattoo. His name was Magic Illusion. He was like this descendant of witches, and he, again, original main character, then he gets Ravemaster, brings over that kind of design as, this eye tattoo magician sorcerer guy, brings it into Sieg Heart, really liked the character, altered a lot about him, but kept some aspects of the design, put him in Fairy Tail, but then also had the alternate world version with Mistogun, and now Justice, but Justice is only when he has his ether gear on. But it's the fact that when he takes this form, he says he's imagining, he's imagining him. He's not saying person by name. He says, he wants to be and look like this specific person. Does he mean Jalal? Does he mean Sieg? Does he mean Mistogun? Where exactly is he putting this? But the thing that I want to look at is, because he must have some form of awareness in this world, that this character, these guys with this eye mark, might be the connecting point between Hiromishima's universes. And I've had that suspicion for a while, because again, we look at Fairy Tail, straight up, you have an alternate universe, and you have multiple versions of characters. Like you had Jalal, and then you had Mistogun, who was just Daedalus Jalal, who took a different name when he came over to Earthland. Now, I know Hiromishima is, I know he played the Bravely games, I know Bravely Default and Bravely Second, he needs some artwork for it. And one of the characters in it, if you haven't played the game, small spoiler, not really important. You're here for not Fairy Tail stuff. You're here for hero stuff, which relates to Eden Zero, Bravemaster. But if you've played those games, there's a character named Ring-a-Bell, and there are multiple versions of him because there's like different timelines and universes, like, all the whole multiverse theory. And all the versions of him seem to somehow end up knowing each other later on and forming some form of group. And got the third one's not out yet, so I don't know the content of that whole story. But could this be hinting at the fact that, these guys with this specific eye mark are some form of bridge or focal point, fulcrum between each of the Hiroshima worlds? Is this being somehow the connection point? Because straight look at the Anima portal. Anima in Fairy Tail, you had it over in Daedalus, connected between different universes. Like, they straight up developed a type of magic that could cross into a different universe, made up by, as far as we know, Faust. And Faust is Mistogun's father. So in that family, and what was Mistogun doing but going between these universes? Could this be like the whole thing? Because is this guy just like, oh, I want to look like, said Jalal, Mistogun, Sieg Heart, whatever character? Or is there specifically this guy named Genesis? Is Genesis a different character? Is he taking this guy's name? Is there going to be some reveal that these characters know each other? Like, maybe Sieg isn't fully dead, like his moral body is gone, but maybe he kind of like took shape in in some weird council of these eye-marked people. I'm very curious of this, just because this is a theory I've had for a while, that these guys were were some form of a connecting point between the universes. I figured it'd be that or Plu, because Plu's isn't all his major works, and Plu is, I think, from what I remember, is the oldest named character Hiroshima drew. He drew him back 30 years ago in middle school or something. But I think it'd make more sense to do it in less of a silly way with Jalal, Sieg, Justice, Mistogun, and now Genesis. I really want to see where this goes, because this could lead to a way to make the characters able to interact with each other in their current points in story, and maybe a way to bring back Ravemaster as well, because maybe it could do some time stuff and be like, okay, Ravemaster, the point after the defeat of Lucia maybe gets altered, and there's more story to come because the time universal fuckery that happened made it so they need to band together to do some stuff. Their timelines are all mixed and matched and all messed up. Who knows? I am looking forward to see the full extent of what Genesis can do. Like, how powerful is this guy? What is he going to be able to do? He's apparently got the power of creation, and he's gonna mess with the whole world. So is he gonna just be like making stars or something, like terraforming the whole planet, doing some crazy stuff? I don't know. We will see. That's very interestingly enough. I mean, just the power he has is interesting. The fact he took this form with this eye mark, calling himself Genesis, is interesting. But also the fact that he knows, like, he apparently knows this person. I don't know if he took the form and then he's like, I'll call myself Genesis, or is Genesis is his own person. Like, maybe Genesis is the person that leads the whole Imar Council that I'm theoretically thinking might be a thing. I don't know. But other than that, comment below. Tell me what you think in the comment section, what you thought about this chapter and where you think this is going. I really like this because it also helps prove the fact that Hiramashima, if he's doing a whole, alternate universe thing with some of these things, like the fact that he's making characters have this similar appearance like Jalal, Sieg, Mistagun, all on purpose, it's gonna completely do away with that, like, oh, he has no original designs. It's like, so if he has like 5 characters that have similar features, but he has this whole myriad, hundreds of other characters, then it somehow means he doesn't have any creative powers? You're ridiculous. Other than that, comment below, tell me what you think in the comment section, and thumbs up the video, friend the like button, the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But on that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.